Buenas, ¿cómo están todos? Hoy es 13 de junio y tenemos una noticia histórica y realmente bastante triste. El día de hoy, un atentado de asesinato contra el presidente Trump. Acabo de ver un reporte viniendo del spokesman de la vocera del presidente Trump, de la campaña del presidente Trump, diciendo que el presidente Trump está vivo, está bien, está en buen estado. Y también el Servicio Secreto de los Estados Unidos también acaba de declarar que el presidente se encuentra en un vehículo en camino. Me imagino que sea el camino al hospital o en camino a algún lado para ser chequeado. Realmente un momento crucial, un momento histórico, un atentado de asesinato, al parecer por un disparo de arma, porque se escucharon disparos en los videos. Por aquí voy a tratar de compartir algo, vamos a ver si sale, para que puedan ver algunas de las reacciones de Fox News, de Max News, CNN. Realmente todo el mundo está reportando esto es histórico. Nunca se había visto algo así. Ahí lo pueden ver. No sé si tengan noción de lo que están viendo ahí. Básicamente es Fox News diciendo la triste noticia del atentado contra el presidente Trump, actual líder en la contienda política para ser presidente nuevamente. Esto noticia, vemos ahí ya algunos de los encabezamientos de los periódicos, en este caso de Fox News. El servicio secreto actuó rápidamente y pudo realmente aguardar la vida del presidente. Se le vio sangre en el lado derecho, cerca del oído, cerca de la parte de la cabeza, en la parte lateral de arriba. Pero el presidente reaccionó con un puño al aire diciendo que luchen. Y también reaccionó al tirarse al suelo cuando los agentes del servicio secreto daban la alerta. Voy saludando a todos los que entran. Esta noticia desafortunada. El día de hoy, Rafa nos dice Trump 2024, God Save America. Estoy de acuerdo contigo hoy, Rafa, 100%. Esto es un momento trágico. Esto demuestra que los radicales, a veces que dicen que de un lado, el lado conservador, el lado de los republicanos, y estos están los radicales, ya han habido 2 intentos de asesinato en contra de políticos, en este caso el presidente mismo, y hace unos 7 años atrás contra los congresistas republicanos, acerca de la izquierda que hace estos ataques. Realmente no hay información quién es el causante, quién es el terrorista que trató de realmente en este caso matar al candidato a la presidencia, líder en todas las encuestas en este momento por la presidencia de los Estados Unidos. Esta es la noticia de última hora. Quería definitivamente pasar por aquí. Creo que ameritaba el momento yo entrar y compartir la noticia del presidente Trump, que en estos momentos posiblemente esté en camino al hospital o ya ha llegado. Esto pasó hace unos 10 a 15 minutos aproximadamente en Pensilvania, en un rally donde estaba el presidente en Pensilvania. Ocurría estos hechos. Una triste noticia, pero lo único bueno de esta noticia es que el presidente se encuentra bien. No sabemos en qué estado de salud. Podemos ver en las fotos. Es más, voy a tratar de compartirlo de otra manera para ver si podemos ver algunos videos. Vimos en las fotos que sí tiene una herida, pero la herida realmente no se ve que es crucial. Realmente el servicio secreto, todos dicen que actuó rápidamente, pudo asegurar el presidente a todos los alrededor. Se ha dicho, se ha reportado, los reporteros que, por cierto, han sido sacados del lugar, reportan que hay otros heridos cerca de las primeras hileras de rally, donde usualmente está la familia Trump. También hay alegados otros políticos que usualmente acompañan a este tipo de eventos de campaña. Se dice en estos momentos se está especulando de que haya otros heridos. Se escucharon múltiples disparos en esta noticia. Se escucharon múltiples disparos. El servicio secreto incluso fue hacia los que estaban ahí en el rally para neutralizar de dónde vinieron estos tiros. Digo que son tiros, no está confirmado si fueron tiros de bala o no, pero eso fue lo que se escuchó en los videos. También se ve al presidente que se lanza al piso cuando los agentes del servicio secreto le dice a todo el mundo en el escenario que se tire, que se agache, que se ponga abajo. Actuaron muy rápidamente, sacaron al presidente rápidamente antes de ahí. Antes el presidente subió su brazo derecho en forma de puño y pudo decirle a sus personas, a sus votantes, a sus personas de campaña que luchen, y se ha sido sacado. Ahora el servicio secreto ha dicho, ha declarado que el presidente está en un vehículo y que se encuentra en, no dijeron en bien, pero se encuentra, vamos a decir que es vivo, ¿ok? El presidente Trump se encuentra vivo en estos momentos. Pues nada, mi gente, quería pasar por aquí. Hace ya tiempo que no hacía una directiva, pero creo que en este momento hay que estar activos. Si pasa algo más desarrollador, esta noticia es bastante fresca. Se habla de que por qué no midieron, por qué no chequearon a ver si había armas en el rally. Esto usualmente se hace y creo que fue el caso. Creo que había una máquina de metal, una máquina de metal para entrar al evento. También la buena noticia, de nuevo le digo, lo único bueno de todo esto, de todas las cosas malas que tienen, aparte de ser un momento triste, oscuro en la democracia de Estados Unidos, desde los años de Kennedy y tal vez de Reagan no se veía este tipo de ataque hacia el presidente. Se vio con los congresistas hace unos años, como yo decía, pero nunca a nivel presidencial. Bueno, esto lo único bueno es que el presidente, al parecer, está vivo, ha sido sacado del evento, pudo dar un gesto de lucha, de vivo, de estar consciente de todo lo que pasó. Se escucharon unos cuantos disparos, se especula de otras personas heridas en el evento. El servicio secreto pudo realmente actuar rápidamente y sacar al presidente. Y hasta ahora, esto es la noticia que hay. Cuando haya más actualización, cuando haya algo más desarrollante, estaré aquí para darle lo más actual, ¿no? Pero esto sí es noticia de última hora y creo que todo el mundo debe estar de acuerdo, debe estar de que esto no puede suceder en una democracia, esto no puede suceder en el país más libre del mundo. Tenemos que defender la libertad y tenemos que defender la democracia. Mi gente, este es José Viro. Si hay alguna noticia nueva, esperemos al presidente Trump pronto. No está muerta. El servicio secreto dijo que ya estaban en camino, no dijeron hospital ni nada, pero dijeron que ya estaba en Southwood. Oh. ¿Qué? Eso tuvo que ser bien planeado, ¿eh?
John Miller, you can see the Secret Service agents
Obvio,
Trump down those stairs.
Obvio, eso fue alguien que ya sabe que no va a ganar. Y digo, bueno.
The area over there with the weapon.
Yeah, exactly.
Potentially could fire some more bullets if in fact that is exactly what happened. And of course, this very, very scary, dangerous situation that unfolded a little while ago in Butler, Pennsylvania, a few miles north of Pittsburgh, at this campaign rally that we've been watching very closely.
No oiga la noticia.
Very closely, John.
Al presidente Trump le hicieron un atentado asesinado ahora mismo.
Well, when you you heard the 2 shots fired, approximately a second and 2 seconds later, you hear a lot of shots fired. Now you
No se sabe, ni tú quieres saber, no se sabe. Lo que se ve o escucharon fueron tiros. El presidente, la seguridad secreta lo rodea, lo tira por piso.
Secret Service agents getting ready to move the lane. They say, shooters there, shooters there, we're good to
Ya lo sacan, ya ese sucedió que él estaba avanzado porque él sí que estaba vivo y se lo llevaron. Pero un ataque bien hecho porque yo creo que no han cogido a nadie todavía y hay un muerto de la
Sí, Jonathan Macro, your former Secret Service agent, any additional analysis, any additional points you want to make? Very impressive how the Secret Service reacted. So,
nah, yo soy presidente, por eso lo hicieron, eso fue una última desesperada.
The shooting incident involving the president or a former president. People might
not know the
United States get extensive Secret Service protection long after they leave the White House.
Yeah. And I think, there's one thing I wanted to talk about this is the security structure that's put around the former president right now. There is an extensive security program.
Uno de los canales ahí es Univisión.
4 hours a day. But
Hay que ir para arriba, abajo, uno de los canales ahí es
the
Univisión.
president isn't that long out of office, so there are still threats that linger, that carry over from his time in office. And because of that, you actually see a robust structure around former President Trump. That coupled with the fact that he is a presidential candidate. So thankfully today, you actually saw a lot of those assets that usually were in the background actually come to the forefront and react very quickly. One of which is the tactical team, the counter assault team. You actually see that tactical team come onto the stage. They provide a secondary ring of protection around the former president, again ensuring that they can suppress any secondary threat that presents itself, and then help move the former president safely from the stage. Again, moving off of the X, moving from the stage back to the armored limousine, and again moving the president away from this site. So you're seeing a lot of things. A lot of actions by the Secret Service and assets of the Secret Service come into play that typically the general public does not witness. But here you're seeing everything all in place exactly as every single one of these agents trained for. And again, I cannot stress enough the countless hours that these agents put into this exact moment. Again, focusing on
los radicales y los globos son de la derecha.
And then moving them to a safe and secondary location. And if there is any type of medical concern, which in this case there is the medical component that these agents are trained for in the near term until other additional medical personnel are able to examine the former president. So again, quick reaction by the Secret Service, quick reaction by law enforcement partners, really prevented what could have been a real tragedy today.
Yeah, they say the former president is now in a medical facility getting treatment because you can see the blood on the side of his face over there near his ear. We don't know where that blood, why that blood originated, whether it's a gunshot wound or he fell and something else happened. But we're going to be getting a lot more information in the minutes ahead to be sure. Statements are coming in from all over the place. We're getting a lot more detail on what exactly happened. Juliet Diane is with us as well. Juliet used to work in the Department of Homeland Security. This is a nightmare scenario that we've been watching. But give us your analysis.
Okay, well, first of all, I mean, the nightmare scenario is because this is not over. I mean, first you're going to have, of course, the investigation. What in fact were the noises? Lots of rumors on X and elsewhere about maybe someone is down or there are other victims. How is the former president and also the candidate and then we'll just fast forward it. We are in a very threat environment regardless of what happens here and what is about to happen is an entire party and its political leadership is meeting for their convention starting essentially tomorrow. That increased threat environment means that security is going to have to change for the convention, as posturing is going to have to change to ensure that whatever was the cause of this and the we already, I received this stuff still from the department. We were already in an increased threat environment for both conventions for different reasons. That increase will be felt over essentially now until November 3rd, if not after. We are now in the moment that a lot of us have been warning on, that our democracy, this was a horror. It looks like we averted a tragedy. Most people younger than you and me have not experienced a potential assassination. I want to be careful here. Attempt on a candidate or a president, let alone a former president. The democracy, our democracy, we know is fractured, and people have been more prone to utilize violence or the threats of violence in 2024. We are now seeing the results of that, and how we come back from this brink is not at all clear right now. This is a moment and a tragedy, especially if there are other victims, but it is also a signal that all of us have to come together and bring us from this fracturing that leads to this kind of violence and the threats of violence that permeate our democracy. We are heading into a convention week right now with a potential threat or whatever it was right now. We're still going to wait. We have to be careful about what we say. Donald Trump and the people around him perceive themselves to be under threat, and that's all that matters. That is not legitimate. That is wrong. You hear the screams from the audience. People are terrified, and that is the kind of atmospheres that we are going to be living with. And I don't have a good answer about how we bring it back right now. This is just, this is going to be an investigation, but it's larger. It's about our democracy right now.
Yeah, it's really, really a scary, scary moment in American history as we watch all of this unfold. And Andrew McCabe is with us, former Deputy Director of the FBI. Andrew, I assume as a result of this incident, security at all these presidential rallies, whether at the convention in Milwaukee this coming week or at the Democratic Convention in Chicago in August, a few weeks down the road, and all these other political rallies, security is going to be heightened dramatically out of an extensive abundance of caution as we watch what's going on. But I'm anxious to get your thought.
No question about it. Security will, which is already very high for any sort of event involving a president or a former president, they will elevate that bar even higher now. And a lot of how they think about securing the next round of rallies and gatherings will be informed by what they learned from the investigation that will now take place about this attack. So let's talk about that really quickly. Jonathan was absolutely right that the Secret Service will hold this crime scene and then the FBI will come in and conduct that investigation. I can tell you from my experience running the counterterrorism division, probably the entirety of the Pittsburgh field office is on their way back into the office right now to start that work, as well as the counterterrorism division here at FBI headquarters. And they will start by coursing over that scene with incredible detail to retrieve every single piece of evidence they possibly can find, whether that's fragments of projectiles or blood spatter. They'll look for things that people may have left behind. They'll try to recreate that entire event forensically, which they will do with the assistance of the evidence response team from the Pittsburgh office, and then other assets they'll send in from the region. This will be investigated, I'm sure, as a potential act of terrorism anytime there is a act of violence directed at a political figure. It's certainly, former president's about as high on that list as you can get. That's going to be treated as an act of potential act of terrorism, act of domestic terrorism, as it should be. So there will be no resource or effort spared in figuring out exactly who did this. Now, if they know that already, if they have the shooter who's already been taken into custody or eliminated, that investigation will focus on that person and any network or associates that they might have had, because that's the piece that will tell you what you need to think about and protect from in the rallies and the events that come. You want to see if whoever was involved in this might have been planning other attacks or maybe thinking about other events You want to render every piece of intelligence you can in this investigation to help better protect the former president and the current president and the rest of our political figures going forward. So it's a scary and dark time that we are going into now. The fact that we have this sort of political violence rearing its ugly head again in the United States is incredibly concerning and something every American should take note of.
And we are getting word, Andrew, that the shooter involved in this incident at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania is no longer an immediate threat. That, according to multiple law enforcement sources, we have heard people shouting, "Shooter is down, shooter is down." So it looks like that shooter, and I'm sure they're going to be investigating who this alleged shooter was and is, and as you correctly point out, if he's just an isolated incident or part of some sort of group that's behind this kind of terror that we're watching right now. So we're watching this very, very closely. This investigation is clearly, and we're only just beginning. Evan, you're getting some more information. Yeah, Evan's getting some more information on the shooter. What are you learning of?
Well, that's right, Wolf. We're now hearing from multiple law enforcement sources that the term that's being used by law enforcement is that the shooter, the person who fired the shot at the former president, has been neutralized. Now, generally, that word is used when someone is dead. That person is no longer a threat, and that is the word that law enforcement tends to use when a threat to someone who's a protectee, in this case the former president, is no longer a threat. So that's what the word that's being used by law enforcement, that he's been neutralized, that the person, the shooter, has been neutralized. Now, we expect that we're going to hear a lot more in the few minutes, in the next few minutes, or in a couple of coming hours from the U.S. Secret Service, because now they're trying to put together an investigation into the way this could have happened. Obviously, there's a team that is in place there with the former president. They're good at collecting evidence. They know how to do that, and so that's one of the first things that happens, is to try to secure the crime scene and to determine everything about how this came to be. Where did this shooter, this person, get access to the grounds? Is it inside? Was it outside? Was this person essentially a sniper who was firing at the former president? All of their background, all of that stuff is being done now as we speak. Now, the FBI is also there. In the case of the Ronald Reagan, the former President Ronald Reagan, when he was shot by John Hinckley Jr., that became an FBI, a Secret Service, and an FBI investigation that obviously went through all of the parts of that case. And so that is likely what is going to happen here, Wolf. But right now, again, we're still just getting the basic information from the scene. And as you pointed out, the shooter is no longer a threat, no longer believed to be a threat to the safety of that scene. And so now the investigation moves to another phase. So that's what we know at this point. The shooter was neutralized, and that's a term, again, that we hear from law enforcement when they mean that the shooter is dead.
And I think it's significant, Evan, and correct me if I'm wrong, when law enforcement officials use the word shooter, that's a very, very specific word that means that someone was firing shots at the former president of the United States. That it wasn't just some banging noises we heard; these were gunshots. When I was watching this live and I heard that noise, to me it sounded like a gunshot right away. But now that multiple law enforcement sources are calling this individual who fired these shots the shooter, I think that's significant in what we know, right?
Yeah, that's right, Wolf. Look, I mean, I think the word there's a lot of caution by the Secret Service in releasing some of this information. We're probably going to hear from them very, very soon with a lot more information about exactly what happened with this incident. But yes, I mean, the idea is that there is some kind of shot that was fired at the former president or in that direction, and that he was injured by something. Now, again, it could be a gunshot. There's a lot of speculation online about what kind of the pellet of some kind. Again, those are things that we're going to find out more concretely, obviously, when the crime scene is up and running, and the Secret Service is able to get a lot more information out about exactly the nature of this incident. But yes, what you're detecting is obviously that the law enforcement believes that someone fired a shot at the former president. Now, what kind of shot that is, again, is something that we have to hear more directly from law enforcement in the coming hours.
All right, everybody stand by. I want to play the video one more time. Let's watch what unfolded, and it starts with the former President Donald Trump speaking to this crowd in Butler, Pennsylvania, and then all of a sudden we hear what we now can confirm gunshots, and he raises his right hand to his face, and you see some blood coming out, and he goes down. Well, let's watch the video an additional time right now, especially for viewers who might just be tuning in.
Now, that's a little bit old, that chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that said, take a look at what happened. Let me get my shoes. Hold on, get ready. So, okay, move the clock. What's up?
Jonathan Wacker, a former Secret Service agent, clearly those Secret Service agents who were there on the scene had trained for this, were well prepared, and they managed to get the former President of the United States into that vehicle safely. We are told now by multiple law enforcement sources that the shooter, and that's the word they're using, the shooter involved in this incident at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania is no longer an immediate threat. But go ahead and give us the latest information you're getting.
Yeah, well, listen, what we, heard Evan talk about was, that the statement was that the threat has been neutralized and the shooter has been neutralized. That actually now confirms what we heard the agents on the stage in that audio just a moment ago actually say. Now, I wanted to,
they said, I'm just interrupting for a second. We heard those Secret Service agents say, shooter is down, shooter is down. What have you heard?
So that's actually really important. And the reason being is because as the agents came in and pushed the former president down, and they basically they tackle him down, and they put themselves in between the former president and the threat. They're not going to move that former president or any protectee if there's active ground. We heard that word, the shooter is down, was really important. That was a key moment for the detail leader to then make the call, we're going to move to the next terrain piece. We're going to take the protectee, in this case, former President Trump. We are going to remove him from this stage. The immediate action is to move him to the armored limo. Again, getting into a safe location as quickly as possible. Now, the question remains, who addressed that threat? We know that there was a shooter. So who neutralized that threat? Was it a member of the Secret Service? Was it a member of law enforcement? And I think it's important to understand that when you think about the type dynamics here, the way that Secret Service, the protective methodology is actually applied to this type of event, it's actually concentric rings of protection. What we're witnessing on air, looking at the stage is the closest ring to the protectee. But that ring radiates out in terms of law enforcement, special agents, private security firm. All of that, combined create the security structure of this site. So what we don't know right now is who actually identified that threat in the moment and then.
Jonathan, hold on for a moment. Hold on for a moment. The Associated Press is now reporting that according to the local DA, the suspected gunman and at least one rally attendee are now dead. Very disturbing information. The local prosecutor says the suspected gunman and at least one attendee are dead. That's a significant development in and of itself. Right there, the shooter, the suspected gunman, as we're calling him, and one attendee is dead in this incident. Go ahead, Jonathan. Finish this up.
Well, I mean, so it talks about the gravity and the tragedy that just occurred, right? We have a member who attended this rally who is now dead. It talks about the dynamic and unpredictable nature that these threats present. But again, law enforcement trained for this. And what I was saying just before that information was, we did hear the initial gunfire. Then there was a slight pause. And then you heard, rapid gunfire in response. So to me, not just listening to that audio shows that there was a shooter, and then there was some response from law enforcement. And now we heard from Evan that the shooter was neutralized. We heard from the agents on stage that the shooter was down. So that was a key moment for the agent part of the ship to then be able to feel that it was a safe enough moment where there was a lull in the gunfire that they could move the president from the stage to the limousine when safe and when the appropriate assets were surrounding the former president to include that tactical team that we're seeing. We're seeing the agents just create that bubble around the president as they moved him off stage. What you're seeing again is if you look into the crowd and see special agents, everyone has their weapons out. They are scanning for secondary threats. They're ensuring that that was a distraction and that another threat was coming inbound. So you see a heightened sense of awareness, increased situational awareness by all members of law enforcement, even as the president is being moved off the stage. Again, really important and great work by all law enforcement, including the Secret Service.
Yeah, and once again, the suspected gunman in this particular case is dead, and at least one rally attendee is dead as well. More information is coming in relatively quickly right now. You see, and Jonathan, I just want to end your thought. When the clearly is hit on the side of his face, near his neck, near his ear, Trump falls down. I don't think the Secret Service was pushing him down at that point, although they did go down and eventually lift him up and take him to a vehicle. But it looked like he just went down right away as he raised his right hand towards the side of his face.
Okay.
I don't know what type of instructions this detail leader had given to former president, when protection had started. Typically when there's a perceived threat, we tell the protectees to lower down. The safest place for them to be when there's a perceived threat is to go down. That's the safest area, and agents are right there on top of them. So again, I think that in this moment, you can see the former president was looking towards the right. Again, the moment that he felt something potentially hit his ear, or that he felt that he was in danger, he did the right thing by going down. Now, again, we don't know what other injuries the former president may have sustained in this moment. Again, the Secret Service, came immediately on top of them. The detail leader would have been doing a rapid assessment to see if there were any secondary wounds, any other types of injury prior to moving the former president. We didn't get to see that they were down behind that front field, the bunch in front of the stage. But that's what's going on with the Secret Service all the while. Gaining intelligence and gaining information around what is the situation and ensuring team safety before the president.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, to make sure they protect the former president of the United States and get him to a safe location. And we're not told by his campaign, he is in a medical facility getting treatment for what just happened. Tell LeBron with us, you already see that he's getting the information.
None of us saw it coming.
That he did confirm one spectator is dead, that the shooter is dead, the second spectator is in serious condition. Importantly, former President Trump is going to be okay. We know from the Trump campaign statement that he's going to be fine. The district attorney confirms that he's going to be okay. He was removed from the scene, we know, from the U.S. Secret Service. Now, the district attorney did not know if the shooter died for self-inflicted, wound or not. We also don't know more details about what kind of shooter this was. I think we need to be really careful until we find out more. I asked, was this, did the shooter have a gun? Is that what you're saying? So I can't confirm that right now. I can't confirm anything about bullets or anything like that. So I think we need to be very careful to get the actual confirmation of what kind of shooter this was. But the Butler district attorney, Richard Goldberg, is confirming that one spectator is dead, a second spectator is in serious condition, and the shooter is dead. I asked him, how could this person, this shooter, that he did not have details about, by the way, get her security, have access to cause an injury to the former president there? And he said, look, that's the $1 million question right now. That is what we're all trying to figure out. And the U.S. Secret Service right now is leading this investigation. And that's a big question, because we just heard earlier from Blackford, Jonathan Blackford, well, the security is so tight at these campaign events. So the former president gets, security is as tight as it gets. And how this happened is just a major question.
We're going to learn from this incident, because these campaigns are just beginning, and the current president of the United States is about to put a whole bunch of rallies as well. And there's got to be heightened security at all these events. There's a Republican convention in Milwaukee this week, a Democratic convention in Chicago a few years later in August. Already they're major security concerns. Various Department of Homeland Security officials, FBI officials, local law enforcement, U.S. military, and others have been engaged in worrying about what's potentially could happen at these two conventions. And now, as a result of this, I'm sure security is going to be expanded even more so.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You can imagine security is already going to be tight if the Republican National Committee, the Democratic one. Now, it's going to be that much more. And I think, as you point out, this is a learning lesson. This is historic what has happened here today, where you have the Republican nominee for president, a former president, Donald Trump, who is injured. You have a shooter that somehow made his physical way into that space enough to injure the former president. You have a spectator who is now dead, and you have another spectator who is in serious condition. This is historic. This is a huge deal, and this is going to be the top focus for the Secret Service to figure out what happened. I'm in touch with the Butler County District Attorney, by the way, so that's something to get on the show in a little bit, so we look forward to hearing directly from him.
We'd like to speak to him. Yeah. He calls in, or video, we'd like to get his thoughts, let our viewers know exactly what he knows. It's interesting that they're calling this a suspected gunman, the shooter. So clearly there were shots fired at the former president of the United States. That's why you can see him raising his hand and blood coming out of the side of his face. We're watching all of this unfold. Pamela, excellent reporting. Thank you very much. Joining us on the phone right now is Skip Tom. He was at the event in Buckner, Pennsylvania, and he was actually about 40 feet or so away from the former president. Give us your eyewitness account. What can you tell us?
Yes, I was about 40 foot away to the right of former President Trump, and I saw the gun smoke, and I heard the fire immediately, but it was coming from the stands to the left of President Trump, towards the top, so you could see the gun smoke. About that time is when President Trump went down. It seemed like there was maybe 6 or 7 shots, a little bit of a pause, and a person behind me about 15 foot was hit. I'm not so sure he is the one who's killed. But then I thought I heard there's a little bit of a pause, and then I felt there was gunshots that came from behind me at the same elevation as it crossed. Now, it could have been just echoing across the area where we were all sitting, but the reality is it really seemed like there was possibly a second shooter.
Second shooter, is that what you suspected? Because we haven't gotten any word of that yet.
Protection of this man.
Yeah, I know that, but I'm just saying, you know, at first I saw the gun smoke coming from the cross, I knew right away what to look for, and I saw over there. And then there's a big cloud of dust that appeared, and then the shots stopped, but then additional gunfire occurred, and I thought it was coming from behind me, and people around me were turning around and looking up and behind us, which had been the stage right of President Trump.
Because the additional gunfire
Saludos.
earlier, we had been told, probably came from law enforcement, either the Secret Service or local law enforcement,
Sospechoso
shooting the suspected
asesino está
gunman.
muerto,
In this
al igual que
particular case,
el
and
otro.
now we're told by the Butler County District Attorney here, Richard Goldhaber, that the suspected gunman is dead. Another person at the rally is dead, and a second
Estaba
spectator is described as being in serious condition right now. You must have been so scared out of your mind as
una
all
persona
this was unfolding.
gravemente herida.
Give us your sense.
El presidente está
You know, I've been trained a long time ago to stay calm, and I actually continue to stand up and look for where the gunfire was coming from, and, of course, was watching everyone to see how Trump was reacting and make sure that he was covered and they got him off stage. But, the whole
el video se escuchaba a agentes
de
del servicio secreto decir sospechoso.
But as people have said, you heard all kinds of talk about, was it just fireworks, or was someone shot, or just, you know, they didn't realize the president had been shot. So,
Kip, you were only about 40 feet away from the former president of the United States. To get into that rally, did you have to go through metal magnetometers?
yes, everybody went through metal magnetometers, and I understood, you know, they probably had a rack of, I don't know, maybe 8 or 10 of them running.
So everybody who walked in and not even relatively close to the former president went through metal detectors. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir.
All right, I don't know how-
I can't verify that everybody went through, but they were set up to screen everybody.
And do you know how far away the suspected shooter was from the president?
I would have said if you went off to the side there, you were talking probably 100 foot away, 120 foot away maybe.
And you think people that far away went through metal detectors too?
El mismo Trump ayer dijo que marcó el militar de los cuatro finalistas.
To the right and to the left, and then there was, of course, people in behind President Trump sitting behind him as well.
Yeah, so that's encouraging that the police security was tight. We don't know how the suspected shooter got as close as he apparently did to the former president of the United States and fired shots at the former president, and in the process killed somebody who was just there. And then this shooter is now dead as well. We heard the Secret Service agents shouting out, "Shooter down, shooter is down, shooter is down." So we suspected that shooter had been shot by local law enforcement or Secret Service or the FBI or the military, all of whom protect a former president of the United States just as they protect a sitting president of the United States. Any other points you want to make, Kip, before I let you go?
No, I mean, it was after just a number of the shots came off, and you could tell there was a different caliber gun shot. So, you know, there's a lot going on there. But I'm saying it was after 5, 6, 7 shots, I heard a different caliber gun being fired. So, I assume that the Secret Service, with their guns, they had identified who was shooting at him.
Yeah, well, Kip, I'm happy you're okay. A lot of other people are okay. There's still been, God forbid, even a whole lot worse that already has been reported. Good time. Thank you very much for calling in. We appreciate it very much. John Miller is still with us, our chief law enforcement and intelligence analyst. Do you want to give us, John, your analysis of what we just heard from this eyewitness?
Sure, and I think what Ambassador Cohen is experiencing is what we call the fog of war, which is having been there as the eyewitness and remembering it the way he remembers it. But as we have shown this video a number of times, what we hear is 2 to 3 rapid shots before the president goes down. And when I say goes down, his agents are going down. He grabs his ear and he puts himself down on the ground, and then they go around him. But what you hear immediately after that, you hear law enforcement with returning fire against the shooter. Now, the question that keeps coming up, and we can get enlightenment on this from Jonathan Wackrow, is how does a shooter get into a rally or close enough to shoot a presidential candidate? They're tagged with parameters that they're taking care of coming in. What we are being told by my law enforcement sources now is that the shooter was killed outside the perimeter of this event, this fenced-in event, that he made his way to a low rooftop of a single-story building. And when you look at this picture, you see that it's a giant field surrounded by these low buildings. They're like one-story buildings, possibly stables. That he made his way to the rooftop, that he fired a couple of shots, and that the counter sniper teams in place, likely for just this purpose, probably returned that fire, because that's where you hear that 6 or 7 shots of a different caliber in rapid succession, and then total quiet. So that quote is, peace, we are told by law enforcement, and that will be the beginning of this entire second chapter, which is, who is he? Where is he from? What do we learn from the background investigation, talking to his friends, his family, digging into his social media? The search warrant is going to be being drawn up right now as we speak to hit his house or whatever house he's staying in, these phones, computers, documents, and so on. Because they're going to need to know, is this a lone individual who did this completely on their own? Is this person part of a known group, either one that exists in life or exists online? Are there others in this group? We are at the very, very early stages. But I think one of the things that Jonathan Wackrow could help us with is, at these events, there's a counter-assault team. They're ready to engage anybody that comes forward as a threat, especially an armed threat. But there are also the counter-sniper teams. Now, this is a very challenging environment. You've got this field, this wide open field. You have the president at former president at one of his rallies. And there's no high ground around it, except for these low rooftop buildings. And I'm being told by sources that the shooter had climbed up onto one of these single-story rooftops and used that to shoot over the fence into the event. He wasn't inside the event. So, Wolf, that is how the information is shaping up now. I'm going to preface it saying, of course, this information is early. It will evolve and possibly change, but that's the fact that law enforcement is working on right this minute.
And we're told once again that the suspected shooter has been, quote, neutralized, meaning he's been shot and killed by authorities, law enforcement on the scene. Jonathan Wackrow, explain to our viewers what a counter-assault team and a counter-sniper team from the Secret Service is all about.
So, these are tactical assets that the Secret Service, has in place, that support the working shift. So, when you think about what we typically see with, the President of the United States, former President, is we typically see the working shift. Those are the women and men that are the close protection around the protectee. But supporting that for, the tactical support is the counter assault team. That is, for all intents and purposes, that is a tactical team that works to support, the protection of the former president. And their job is just as Sean Miller stated, they are there to suppress any immediate threat that presents itself, or they, in some instances, may draw the fire of an attack to allow the working shift enough time to move the protectee away. The long-range threats, and this is what we think that this incident is involving, the long-range threats are mitigated through the counter-sniper team. And again, that's another tactical asset. What they're looking at is out beyond the security perimeter. They're looking for that long-range threat, that rifle range threat that could potentially present itself. And again, what we don't know is whether or not they were the ones that engaged this shooter, or if it was a post-scanner, a member of local law enforcement that worked along the perimeter, to neutralize that threat. Right now, what we're seeing is, again, a different side of the Secret Service. You're seeing how they react in these dynamic situations, and we're seeing, introducing the counter assault team, the counter sniper team. You're starting to see other assets that are present all the time. We just don't talk about it in the media that often, but it is really important to talk about that right now because they play a very important role in successfully resolving the situation to move the president, the former president, off that stage and into that museum.
And once again, we're told that at least one spectator at this truck rally in Pennsylvania is dead. Another was injured in the shooting at the rally for Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania. That, according to the Butler County District Attorney Richard Zollinger, who's with the TVCA. The suspected shooter says is also dead. He did not know, Zollinger did not know the shooter was a self-inflicted gunshot wound or was shot by someone else during the course of the incident. The DA tells him that the injured spectator is in serious condition right now. Priscilla Alvarez is joining us over at the White House right now. I understand we're getting some reaction from the White House. Priscilla?
Well, we're still waiting for that reaction from the White House. We have asked the White House for comment on the matter. I should note that when this incident did happen, the president was at Mass. He's currently in Rehoboth, where he has a residence. Right when he departed church, right around 6:23, is when reporters asked him if he had been briefed. He had said no. We now know, however, that he has been continuously briefed by senior officials. That includes Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas. Now, we should remind viewers, the president is not here at the White House. He is at his residence in Delaware, and we are waiting to hear reaction from the president on this incident. Wolf.
That's the incident right there. That's the incident right now. Pamela Brown, you're getting some more information. What else are you writing?
Our Ryan Young is one from the Secret Service that the shooter of the Trump rally was killed by the U.S. Secret Service. He was shot and killed. This was not a self-inflicted reason. This is new, critical information coming in that the shooter was killed by the U.S. Secret Service, and Matindy, as we reported earlier, was also killed during the incident. The U.S. Secret Service confirming that, and this is really interesting because we heard from John Miller earlier saying that he is learning from his sources that the shooter was actually on outside the perimeter, but on a low roof, and was able to obviously, gain access to former President Trump and this other attendee, and another that was killed, and another one that was injured, and harmed them. And killed two. And so we're now learning that the U.S. Secret Service was able to locate that shooter, kill the shooter. And right now, what is interesting here is normally what you will hear is that there's an all clear, that they ruled out that there are any other government accomplices. That has not happened yet. I will say, typically in these situations, it is government, but that does not mean that that is always the case. And so that is also something that I'm looking out for. Is there an all clear now that we know the Secret Service has killed this shooter? Has the threat there at the scene been completely eradicated? Yeah, and even if he was in this particular incident a lone gunman, that doesn't mean this individual didn't have context. Exactly. With a group of other individuals who may have been planning this and behind this whole incident. We don't know. We don't know, and that is something that law enforcement right now is they're going through any chat sessions, anything online to look for any clues as they try to identify the shooter, figure out who the shooter might have been talking to leading up to this event, and find out if the shooter organized or worked with any accomplices. That's all part of this. It's all part of the investigation. This, as you noted, Wolf, is being led by the U.S. Secret Service because you're dealing with a former U.S. president and a presidential nominee for the Republican Party here.
Yeah, Secret Service is responsible for protecting not only sitting presidents, but former presidents, and major Republican and Democratic presidential candidates as well. That's the Secret Service job, so we're watching all of this very, very serious. I think Dr. Sanjay Gupta is still with us. Hold on, Sanjay, for a second. Elena Trina is getting some more information. I understand you're with an eyewitness, Elena?
I am, yes. Hi, Wolf. I'm here with Joseph Mine. He was sitting actually behind Donald Trump in the bleachers today when this all unfolded. I'm going to let him share exactly what he saw. It was a very harrowing moment that he was there for. Can you please tell us about Joseph?
Yeah, it was the Trump, I was attending a rally seemed initially that like firecrackers went off. It was very confusing initially because, you know, I knew it was gunfire, but I couldn't quite tell where it was coming from. It sounded like it was coming from behind the bleachers. That man in the bleachers, kind of to the right of me in the bleachers, took a gunshot wound to the head, was killed. And another woman, I don't know exactly where she was in the bleachers. I think she was either behind me or to the right of me. She got the rounds and she got hit in the forehead and hand in the leg. She wasn't killed.
Can I ask you how you're feeling? Obviously, you just witnessed something terrible happen. A lot of chaos was in the room. How exactly are you feeling right now, Joseph?
You know, it's something you don't expect. You know, it's a full out of the blue, so it's very shocking. It's just, I think a lot of people in the crowd just saw the fireworks going off. I knew immediately it was gunshots. I knew they were close. And then when I saw someone get hit and go down, that's why I knew it was probably serious. Yeah, it was like confusion. It's just massive confusion, you know, throughout the event. I saw Donald Trump get hit. Looked like he had, you know, because I was running my camera at the time, but it looked like he was just turning his head to the side. It looked like he got grazed in the right ear with a bullet. I kind of saw that go on, and then I looked down, I saw the man, you know, die in the bleachers. There's just complete pandemonium, like there was a bit of a delay, there was a lot of confusion, but immediately, you know, it seemed like more gunfire erupted. I couldn't figure out where that was coming from, and then, you know, since there was 6 policemen there, I believe a SWAT team, you know, showed up relatively quickly. They jumped to the side. There was a fence field next to the bleachers. They jumped the bleachers and started clearing the bleachers. And then I helped carry the body of the man down on the bleachers, and they took him to a tent behind the bleachers. One tunnel over his head that he's diseased.
You were telling me before when we were chatting briefly that you never had a chance to make it to a Trump rally, that this was your first time. Would you still think coming back to another Trump rally?
Yeah, you know, it's a very random event that happens. You know, I feel safe generally where I go in the country. You know, I think the problem is we have everyone seems very angry, and you know, it makes you kind of, you know, I'll go to a Trump rally again, but I'll think twice. You know, you definitely want to have your head in the swivel. It just seems like there's a lot of angry people out there, and I'm not shocked that this happened. I'm shocked that I was sitting there and it happened next to me. Obviously, you never anticipate that to happen, but it's just horrible. You know, we shouldn't be at a level of political discourse in this country where this is going on. It feels like it's 1960 again. You know, it's horrible.
Can you describe for me, Joseph, what happened after you saw the shots? And I was there as well. Secret Service was screaming for everyone to get down. They quickly started to clear the area. I'm just curious what that process was like for you in the aftermath.
Very confusing, like I said. I think everyone was in the bleachers. It was initially confusing when the gunshots erupted. I think the crowd thought it was fireworks. I think someone thought they were playing a joke. And, you know, the people who were close to the people who got injured still, you know, seemed like it was a joke. It seemed like there was a push-pull in the crowd. And that is, one half of the crowd was part of the rally thought it was some type of weird joke. The other half of the crowd knew it wasn't, was trying to push press from the rest of the crowd. This is serious. And I think everyone got the idea very quickly that it was a dangerous situation, and everyone just started hitting it back. And, you know, kudos to the Secret Service. You know, again, you know, when you're in these situations, a second feels like it's an hour, but it seemed like authorities were there very quickly. It just seemed to me, like I said, I was sitting there, and it seemed like the rounds came from behind, and they got this, and they hit the gentleman in the head. You know, he got a gunshot in the head, and the only was injured, and then I saw Trump, President Trump, you know, get hit, and it looked like it was right here, but it seemed initially everyone was just, like, half the crowd was in shock, and the other half thought it was something weird to it. And it just, it took a bit for everyone to get a good understanding of what's going on.
You mentioned that you had spoken with the person who ended up falling. I believe you said that he was with his whole family.
Yeah, his family watched it happen. So they were in the bleachers when he got hit and he went down. Like, I think they were trying to figure out what people was going on. They were trying to figure out.
Saludos, Darwin. ¿Cómo se llama tu agencia?
That body was removed from the bleachers. Then the police came back, you know, right after, tried to move the family, but they were all in shock. They weren't processing what was going on. The man was definitely He was dead.
Don't travel to Cuba.
It was something that reminded me of those approved.
LLC?
Kennedy. I mean, it was just that snap. That was a, and I caught it out of part of my eye. And I was like, yeah, you can't believe it. Yeah, it's kind of like,
Don't.
you're out in rural Pennsylvania, you don't really anticipate this is gonna happen.
You mentioned, I'm sorry, this is very emotional for you as well. You mentioned that, this was your first Trump rally. How are you feeling about the election now? What are you hoping to see moving forward? We've already seen a lot of statements of support from across the aisle come in for the former president. I can tell you too from our sources, they say that Donald Trump is okay, that he is out of the facility being treated. But I would love just your view on, I know you came here today to support him, but the former president, I'm curious how you think about this now. I know it's a hard question given the chaos that we're currently in and maybe not something we're feeling right now, but you can share any of that.
Solidifies my support. I understand, people believe Trump's, well, they have to be fantastic, they don't really like him, he's a very polarizing figure, he has an abrasive personality, but I truly believe he has the best interests of the country at heart. And you make a point. The man's a billionaire. He could be sitting, like you said at the start, he was sitting at Raleigh joking about it. Like, he could be sitting in the Mediterranean yacht doing my life. I'm not trying to run the country. It puts in perspective, there's a real cost for that. I mean, there's some people that really want him dead. And to me, this is just ridiculous. Like, we have a lot of political violence in this country. It comes from falsity. It's just much more, it comes from everywhere. It just needs to stop. JFK, RFK, you've got Martin Luther King, now you're gonna attempt the life of Reagan, and now you have an attempted assassination of Trump. It's just ridiculous. And just, I don't think it's a gun problem, I don't think it's a violence problem, I think there's a lot of angry people that just have too much interest in politics, and it's a zero-sum game to them. Politics shouldn't be a zero-sum game where someone wins everything and someone loses everything. And I think this is a result of that. People at the game today, we're very happy they're here to support Trump. When you talk to people in the crowd, there's a tenseness. They don't want to talk to family members about politics, but it's just like. So I don't know what to tell you, but this needs to stop.
Thank you so much, Joseph. I very much appreciate your time, and I stay safe tonight. I hope everyone's safe. Thank you. There's just one person, we talked to many people today who have been leaving the rally, who are very emotional, they're angry, they're upset. I think Joseph had a particularly harrowing experience given what he had saw and seen and be killed here tonight. So a lot of emotions. I'll tell you, I'm currently in the parking lot. No one is moving. I think they have put a hold on everyone getting out. We've seen cars parked here for a long time. So everyone still, who I'm talking to, says that they're still processing this. They're still trying to sort through their emotion and
Yeah, I mean, it's very refreshing right now. That's why the situation is unfolding as it is right now. We're watching all of this development now under in Cooper. Anderson, help us understand what's going on.
Yeah, well, just 8:07 o'clock here in the East Coast, just after 8 p.m. in New York, and a deeply traumatic day. Shots fired at Donald Trump, the former president, who's on the 24th Republican nominee, at his rally, his final rally before Monday's convention in Milwaukee. Suspected gunman is dead, and so is at least one person at the rally.
And Anderson, here in Washington, U.S. Secret Service and other federal agencies are now clearly in crisis mode, investigating as a possible assassination attempt the former president of the United States. What happened? And 11 minutes past 6 in Butler, Pennsylvania, just like Pittsburgh. Awful situation to be very scary and very traumatic.
Yeah, the former president had to adjust the government remarks when the shooting began. I want to show you from that.
Oh, that's a little bit old, that's up to a couple of months old. If you want to really see something to say, take a look at what happened.
asesino fue neutralizado por el servicio secreto en un techo cerca, pero fuera del perímetro del evento. Hay un muerto y un herido. En el público.
A couple things about that video. You could hear audio during that time. Most of that was the Secret Service talking to one another and to the former president. You could also hear some words from the former president. Initially with the Secret Service, you saw the former president after the first few shots touch his right ear. Then the Secret Service rushed, realized what was happening, rushed to cover him. They held him down on the ground as there were more shots. It was once you heard some Secret Service agents saying, what are we doing? Where are we going? Then you heard them saying that the shooter was down. We are clear. The shooter has been neutralized. They then say, you then hear the former president say, let me get my shoes. Certainly the shoes may have been knocked off as they knocked him to the ground. And then you hear at some point the former president saying, wait. And that's when you see him raise his fist and mount the crowd between the words, fight. He was then whisked off again raising his fist. The former president has blood on his ear, the side of his head when he was taken away. He was examined at a local hospital and according to his campaign, he is fine. But again, at least one person who came to see the former president has been killed. So is the suspected gunman shot by the Secret Service. Another attendee who has been seriously wounded. When just got the statement from President Biden, he said, quote, I have been briefed on the shooting at Donald Trump's rally in Pennsylvania. I'm grateful to hear that he's safe and doing well. I'm praying for him, his family, and for all those who were at the rally to await further information. Jill and I are grateful to the Secret Service for getting him to safety. There's no place for this kind of violence in America. We must unite as one nation to condemn it. The president is expected to speak on camera shortly. We will bring it to you live. There's going to be a 2-minute warning on that, so they're bringing that. As we wait, I will bring CNN to the press with the latest information about the shooter. What are you reading?
Well, Anderson, this is clearly now being investigated by the federal law enforcement, by the Secret Service and the FBI and other agencies as a attempted assassination, possible attempted assassination of the former president. So that's what is guiding this investigation now as we speak. We do know also that the shooter who fired these shots, it appears this person was outside of the perimeter, which might explain why perhaps there wasn't something to catch on, because people have checked magnetometers before they come into the rally. This person would not have gone through those magnetometers. So again, that's part of the investigation. Anderson at this hour.
And we have about a minute warning report that the president will be making remarks. And there is there was an eyewitness. There was a man at the rally who claims told BBC on camera that he saw. Here's the president.
Based on what we know now, I tried to get a hold of Donald. He took a copy. Apparently he's doing well. I'm talking to him shortly. I hope when I get back to the telephone. Look, there's no place in America for this kind of violence. It's sick. It's sick. It's one of the reasons why we have to unite this country. You cannot allow for this to be happening. You cannot be like this. You cannot condone this. And so, I want to thank the Secret Service and all the agencies, including the state agencies, that have engaged in making sure that people who, and we have more detail to come relative to other people maybe injured in the audience. I don't have all that detail. We'll make that available to you. And maybe it'll come back a little later tonight, but we'll put out a statement if we don't, if I'm not able to do it, if it's not convenient for you all. But the bottom line is, the Trump rally was a rally that he should have been able to be conducted peacefully without any problem. But the idea that there's political violence or violence in America like this is just unheard of. It's just not appropriate.
Everybody must condemn it, everybody. I'll keep you informed, and if I may well speak to John, I'll let you know that as well. So far, it appears he's doing well, number one. Number two, that they're thoroughly investigating what happened to anyone else in the audience. We have some reports, but not final reports. And every agency in Philip, and I'm going back to my phone to speak with the federal agencies that are being put together again to give you an updated briefing if anything happened. They learned more in the last couple hours. So thank you very much, and I hope I get to speak to them tonight, and I'll get back to you if I do.
Mr. President, do you think it was an assassination? Do we have that?
I don't know enough I have an opinion, but I don't have any facts. So I want to make sure we have all the facts before I make any more comments. Thank you.
Are you worried, President? What do you mean? What does the security family as president?
So President Biden speaking, back with CNN's Enterprise. Evan, just in terms of the investigation, who is in the lead? Is it the Secret Service that is the lead agency on this? Evan is talking to his sources. John Miller is standing by with us. John, talk about what the latest on what you're hearing.
So, the Secret Service has the lead on this for the moment, which is to protect the president, rescue the president, get him care, and meet that threat, which apparently is what happened. The government, who was on a low rooftop outside the event, shooting from that low rooftop over the stands there, is dead. At this point, the FBI comes in. The FBI will assume the larger investigation, working hand in glove with the Secret Service. They're going to bring in their crisis management team, their critical incident response group. A lot of FBI resources are heading to meet the agents from the Pittsburgh field office because they have to go about finding who is this dead gunman, where does he live, get a search warrant for that residence, get a search warrant for all his phones, electronics, accounts. They've got to delve into him and figure out, is he acting alone first and foremost?
Hey, John, I'm going to come back to you shortly.